So let's bring in Jeff as well as Frank. And Jeff has a role in this film, as does Frank. Frank, how do you pronounce your last name?
You said it just right. Excellent. It's Panico.
Panico. I wanted to make sure. I'm from New York, so I think I know a lot of people with vowels at the end of their name that I love and respect, and so I figured I got it right. And Jeff, I'm not sure we've met, but I've admired you from afar. Good morning.
Good morning, Ed. Thanks a lot. Me as well. Good to see you on the air.
I appreciate it. So, Frank, let's start with you because I want to know, and we're going to play the trailer in just a minute, but tell us how The Fall of Deceit came together, and then we'll get Jeff's thoughts as well.
Well, long story short, with any film that I do, I ask God personally, even though nobody knows the mind of God, would he be happy with the message I'm conveying? And I felt like the answer was yes. I'm exposing things, and I just found interest in it. And America needs to be informed about what's going on with our rogue government, rogue FBI. Of course, there are some great agents, but it's becoming a totalitarian nation right under our nose, and it's kind of like here. So I just found interest in the topic, and Stan Fitzgerald helped me. He's the executive producer of the film, Stan and Donna Fitzgerald, and he's with Veterans for Trump. And we just hit it off, and we got a really excellent piece of work. It could be seen on Salem now, and it's airing tonight on Epoch TV, but it could also be seen on my website, thefallofdeceit.com. So I'm really excited about it. And one last thing, there's too much letting things go. Republicans just let things go. No one ever gets held to account, like Hillary Clinton. And it really exposes what happened to General Flynn and what happened to Roger Stone. And I might not be able to pull Jim Comey into a courtroom and have him thrown in jail and hold him accountable that way, but I can make him accountable to American people and then the public.
And the literature on this, and I'll bring in Jeff, talks about the film exposing the insidious government overreach and persecution specifically of Christians occurring in America, and explains how anyone who doesn't line up with the agenda of those in the secular world is in their line of fire. And I just heard Frank point out, how Roger Stone faced that, how General Flynn faced that. And Jeff Clark, you faced that. Talk about it.
Sure. Well, Ed, thanks for having me. And, I was glad to help Frank with his movie. So, I've been a target ever since really anonymous leaks went to the New York Times at the end of January 2021. After I left the Trump administration, I ran 2 divisions, a total of about 1,400 lawyers inside the Justice Department. And because I was interested in investigating what happened with the 2020 election, I have been had a big target on my back, on my forehead, anywhere you can think of. And so I've been one of the 19 folks indicted in Georgia by Fani Willis in Fulton County Superior Court. And also, they're trying to take my DC bar license. And a trial on that is actually set to begin on January 9th. Much like they're doing with John Eastman and Rudy Giuliani, and through something I don't know if you've heard of, and I think it's something you should perhaps do more about, which is this thing called the 65 Project that was started by David Brock to go into an attack and try to grab the bar licenses and get them pulled of all of the lawyers who are somehow Trump adjacent. It's a very un-American thing to do. It is designed to chill conservative lawyering so that populist conservative politicians can't fight back.
That's absolutely nuts. I don't know a lot about that project, so I'm going to invite you on the Newsmax 2 show, and we should talk about it next week, and we'll have you back here on the podcast, Wake Up Patriots. Frank, people in the live chat are saying, and I think this is Norma who said it first, Frank is not suicidal. And maybe it's a joke, but it's not really a joke anymore, because people, when you speak out the way you are with a film like this, like Jeffrey, you have a target on your forehead, like he said.
Yes, people do. I did other films that are pro-life films and basically say that abortion is like sacrifice to the devil. And, I line myself up, but, God protects me. I've really not had any major backlash. I'm really surprised because I'm a Christian, Republican, who's not afraid to speak out. And one thing I thank God for is I don't have anything seedy in my past that anyone could dig up. I mean, go for it if you want. I let people know that I used to live a crazy lifestyle in Los Angeles, but I've changed, and practicing abstinence and just focusing on God in my films. So I'm ready for it. If they need to come after me, that's fine. God will protect me, and I'm ready for it.
How do you get through this? Talk about faith in your life, Jeff, and then we will play the trailer. But when you're telling me now that, I mean, I already know that they dragged you out in your pajamas to raid your home with your wife and kids there, as I recall the story. And now you're telling me they're trying to strip your DC bar license and try to prevent you from having a livelihood.
Right. Well, faith does play an important role in that, Ed. And just one quick correction, and this is, I think, through God's grace, my family was not home when
Good.
the Inspector General agents from the Justice Department came to raid my house and take all my electronics and bring in an electronic sniffing dog and refuse initially to show me the warrant. And I still haven't seen the real meat of the warrant, which would be an affidavit, even more than a year since. So, I think if I were to look at this episode and think of myself, before a major return to faith, which preceded the 2020 election, maybe I wouldn't have been able to handle it. I think that God is helping me and the family through these things, as flawed, a man as I am, or as we all are. I think that we're at a point in the country, though, where there's a major divide between people who realize that they need God and people who wrongly and foolishly think that they don't. And I think that maps onto political differences too. And it's why, people like the ones focused on in the movie that Frank put together, and it is an excellent movie. I urge everyone to watch it. Why those people are being persecuted and why other people seem to take glee in them being persecuted, which, you just don't know how much of my Twitter feed these days consists of people who just will send the nastiest, expletive-filled messages to me, and it feels like there is a spiritual war going on in the country, and I'm sure that's a larger topic that Frank will probably take on at some point.
Well, sure, but I mean, I just want to rewind for one sec. You're telling me that they raided your home, and as I had read about at the time, and took your devices. And you still haven't, as an attorney yourself, seen the affidavit explaining why they did this? I mean, people talk about this becoming a communist country. It sounds like a communist country, not America. Shouldn't you at least see what basis they had to raid your home?
I think so, Ed. I think that the founders didn't intend to create a kind of bifurcated set of requirements where you have a warrant that says, here's what we can search, here's what we can seize under what condition. See the attached affidavit for the basis that provides probable cause, right? But you don't get a copy of the affidavit. I think that that's something that should be flatly contrary to the Fourth Amendment, but it is the way that the government proceeds these days. And yes, my home was raided in June of last year. I have still not seen the affidavit. And indeed, they did not want to give me a copy of the warrant. I had to insist on it, and I had to give them a little Fourth Amendment lecture about it before they gave it to me.
Yeah. I have people in our live chat on Rumble. Lizzie Sunshine, we are living under a communist regime already. JH, who wakes up early, I think in San Diego out in the West Coast, this makes my blood boil hearing your story. So people are reacting in real time. And I promise I am going to play that clip, but people are asking me, Frank, just tee it up before I play the clip. Where can people watch it tonight? The website again, I will type it out in the live chat, but please walk us through how people can support you.
Yeah, I appreciate it very much. It's very simple. It's the title of the film, thefallofdeceit.com. But also Salem Now is carrying it right now. And at 11 o'clock tonight, Epoch TV will be airing it. But of course, I prefer if somebody went to my website, thefallofdeceit.com. And one last thing about that subject, about the lawyers and hiding things, unless they want you to know. In my film, I let it be known, or Roger Stone lets it be known, he was arrested at 6:11. He was arrested at 6:06. At 6:11, the producers from CNN sent by text his sealed criminal indictment to his
Right.
lawyers. So if they want you to see something, they'll get it. He suspects Andrew Weissman did it, who's I've heard a lot about him, and he's totally not one of my favorite people. I hear he's a big dog in the lawyer business. But yeah, so the sealed criminal indictment was sent to CNN, and there's just crazy stuff going on. Thank you.
Weissman was part of the Mueller probe. Weissman was part of pushing the Mueller hoax. But go ahead. Was it Jeff? Did you want to jump in before you play?
I just wanted to jump in quickly and give you a parallel, for me as to what happened to Roger Stone. And I think the way they did it to me is because of the negative reactions they got about how suspicious it was that CNN was there, waiting outside at the same time. So what they did for me is they sent along not just the DOJ Inspector General agents, but also a couple of Fairfax County, Virginia police officers. And I'm convinced they did that because the IG agents did not have body cams, but the Fairfax County police did. So that's what allowed them to get footage of pulling me out without even allowing me to put my pants on out of my house. And then they put that in heavy rotation on CNN. And they also took a still from that where I just happened to have my hands behind my back as I was thinking about my next steps to portray as if I had been handcuffed. And arrested when I was not handcuffed or arrested. And then the next thing they did is they sent CNN to talk to my neighbors and to ask for footage video of me and my family so that they could put that on air. And they offered money, but to their credit, none of my neighbors took them up on that.
Oh my gosh, the story gets worse and worse. Paul Manafort has a home down here in South Florida, and I saw him at a dinner some months ago. And he talks about in Virginia as well, where he lived, one of his homes, early in the morning. I think it was the FBI who showed up, and you might know the story. And I think, basically they came up, I think, to the bedroom, or his wife came down the stairs. She's in her nightgown. It's like 5 a.m, Jeffrey. Mm-hmm. And they just want to terrorize you. And Bongino and others, was it Dinesh with the Police State documentary film as well, Jeffrey? It's like, it's a police state. It's nuts.
It's not America anymore, Ed.
Yeah, they use they use that as a tool to damage you. Whether you're going to get charged or arrested or not, they use it as a tool to humiliate you, to raid your house. Like I bring up Mr. Houck also, how the FBI busted in his store, a pro-life guy.
Yeah. Okay, here's the clip from YouTube. I don't know how long it is. We'll play it. And get a flavor, I guess. It's about 2 minutes.
Take us back in time. And who was Mike Flynn?
He was the National Security Advisor to the president.
Why is it that they go after me so hard? Why me? Why does Barack Obama only talk about 2 people to the incoming president of the United States?
When I was sentenced, the judge says, you have been convicted of lying to cover up for Donald Trump. To which I say, cover up what? Russian collusion? There was no Russian collusion to cover up.
We see in today's current scenario with President Joe Biden, who came in with high expectations, that he has been viewed as divisive.
And we're committed to advancing transgender equality in the classroom.
The liberal media say, well, this is his love for his son, and yes, he's going to protect his son. But let me tell you, a lot of fathers love their sons, but their sons had to go to jail when they broke the law.
At this moment, people see a lot of those telltale signs of a far left drift to the country.
Whether you're talking about socialism or you're talking about communism, socialism is just a kinder cousin of communism, but the goal is the same, for the state to have control of every aspect of your life.
We have multiple hearings on different agencies that have actually just gone rogue.
They took fewer men in the takedown of El Chapo than they did to arrest me.
And Comey went back to his organization and brought his other thugs together to basically give them the ground rules. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. And now I need some ideas about how to execute this basically this act of treason.
I think we all know, James Comey, that you're a great storyteller because you made up the entire story about Crossfire Hurricane. So it's really fitting that a criminal like yourself wrote a crime novel. You remember me? Remember me from the Senate?
It doesn't matter whether they're Republican or Democrat. People will sell their soul to obtain an ounce of political power in Washington, D.C.
I don't even know that draining the swamp is the appropriate metaphor anymore after what we've seen these last 4 years. We need basically an exorcism in Washington, D.C.
When, Satan is tempting Jesus in the desert, I'll give you all the riches of the world. I'll give you everything. All you have to do is bow to me. That's what Barack Obama has done. That's what Jim Comey has done. That's what these bastards have done.
Wow. Looks powerful, as you can see. The website is www.thefallofdeceit.com. Frank, I'm going to watch it. Tell us about it. What else are we going to see?
Well, it's an excellent film. I'm working on a film right now that has to do with my main character. His name is Pedro Israel Orta, and he's an ex-CIA agent, and he's a whistleblower that was treated extremely unfairly. So that's what I'm working on now. And then in the queue after that is another film with Stan Fitzgerald again and Jared Craig about veterans for Trump and the veterans of America, and hopefully one after that that has to do with the border crisis, this mass crazy immigration debacle.
Something's got to be done about the border crisis. And yet, Jeffrey, this week, 8 House Republicans joined with Democrats to say we're not going to impeach Mayorkas. And I wonder, do enough Republicans have the spine for this battle?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And, I'd like to see a lot more out of the weaponization subcommittee and House Judiciary. And as, one key example of the fact that we're really living in a two-tiered system of justice, both the Wall Street Journal, I believe, and CNN are reporting that Robert Hur, who was the appointed special counsel to look into the Biden documents that were kept both when he was a vice president and going back to his time in the Senate, a period he had no power to declassify anything, that's going to result in no charges. Meanwhile, President Trump is on trial in Florida for that. And every night on MSNBC, if it's not that case that they're screaming about, including people like Andrew Weissman, the progenitors of the Russia hoax, then it's something else. And I think that President Trump should immediately after that report's issued, and I suspect Hearn will probably slow walk it. He's just kind of conditioning the public now, right? Let's roll out a little bit. Let's see how it goes. Nothing's going to happen to Biden, right? And we'll precondition people on that. But when the report comes out, Trump has to, I think, immediately move to get that documents case about Mar-a-Lago thrown out.
Kenny, you think legally that will open the door for that?
I mean, to my mind, it's a flagrant violation of equal protection principles. And in federal court, there's not an equal protection clause that's in the 14th Amendment, but the Supreme Court has applied the concept of equal protection as part of due process when federal courts are proceeding against you. So I think it's a basic violation of the equal protection component of due process. And I know that what the left will say is, but Biden didn't resist a warrant in the same way. President Trump cooperated a lot with the National Archives. And they lied and they tried to say that President Biden had nothing to do with that case. But it came out that he actually, authorized special access to President Trump's documents so they could try to line him up and launch a trap against him. And that's exactly what they did. I think the case against Biden is a lot stronger than the case against Trump. But what we'll hear is they're apples and oranges because Biden's conduct is a lot less culpable. Again, whereas I think that's the reverse.
Incredible. Frank, is this part of, this 2 tiers of justice part of the documentary?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I full on lay out the Hillary Clinton scandal, how, I show Comey speaking, although we found this, although we found that, although we found this, we found nothing to persecute. And then I compare it, I juxtapose with what they're doing to Trump, and they're just crucifying him, You know, one thing I just want to say is I would love to have my film premiere at Mar-a-Lago or play at Mar-a-Lago. But my point is, I feel personally, it's just my point of view, that God allowed, God allowed Trump to lose for these 4 years so he can step back and see what the hell is going on. He has more of a vision and more of a feel and can find out who the scum is that's coming after him. So like it was a setback for 4 years to kind of gather everything and then come in and just nail it.
Maybe it's a blessing,
that's what I think.
as we've
That's
seen
what
before.
I think. Yes.
Yeah. Jeffrey, have you found that in your life with some of the setbacks you've had that maybe now it's bringing you to a better place?
Well, I think that the whole process of what happened in 2020 and its aftermath have been very revealing. You know, I'll just talk about my personal life in part, right? You know, there are people who I thought would really stick by me through thick and thin who have not. And there are other people who I would have thought actually would have fled because of the controversy who have not. So it's been very revealing, right? It shows you who your true friends are.
Amen.
It shows you those people who actually believe what they say and will act on it, as opposed to they're just sort of, you know, fair weather friends or fair weather patriots. And so, you know, God's plans are way beyond man's plans. We can't see everything, but you know, we're told to trust that everything will be brought to good. And obviously one of the most powerful stories in the Bible about that is what happens with Joseph and his brothers and how he forgives them and how, you know, he saves them from, you know, destruction by a famine and becomes, you know, a very powerful man, all as part of God's plan, but not something that the brothers or even Joseph could see at the time.
Absolutely. Some people were saying they couldn't get the link working, but I just literally put it in my browser. And can we pull this up a bit? What I have, yeah. So if you type in www.thefallofdeceit.com, you're brought to xsintheskyfilms.com/projects. Is that right, Frank? And then you see The Fall of Deceit and some of your other films.
Right. You can have another email address. I just thought I'd give you the one that goes right to the page. It all links. It's called X's in the Sky Films. So it's www.xsintheskyfilms.com.
Yeah, and that brought me there. It mirrors to that, so people can find it. Gentlemen, good luck with the film. Jeffrey, good luck with everything. If we now know where to find Frank in the film, Jeffrey, before we go, where do people support your legal defense, and where do they find you?
Sure. So thanks for that, Ed. My legal defense is at www.givesendgo.com/Jeff Clark, JEFFCLARK. And Give Send Go is a great site, even if in these inflationary times with the Biden economy, even prayers through that site are much appreciated. But obviously, so is financial support because the legal team I need, you know, expensive. And then I'm personally at Twitter on Jeff Clark US, Getter, same thing, and on Truth Social at Real Jeff Clark.
All right. We'll have you back on the podcast and have you on Newsmax as well. Jeff, have a great weekend. Frank, good luck with the film.
Thank you very much, Ed. It was my pleasure being on your show.
All right. We'll have you back right here at Wake Up Patriots. Gentlemen, we appreciate it. And it's funny, people in the live chat, guys, are saying, you know, hey, Wake Up Patriots is a great name because they need to wake up now to what's happening. It's not just about getting up in the morning. It's about waking up to what's really happening in this country. So, gentlemen, you're sounding the alarm bells, and we appreciate you being patriots.
Thank you. God bless you.
All right. God bless you as well.